welcome to another episode of Puck Dynasty. It has been a minute, but there have been some big changes coming. We have decided to unite with our friends over at Fantasy Hockey Hacks to bring some Dynasty content to them and for them to bring some one-year content to us. So today is the second inaugural episode of Puck Dynasty, and now we are a Fantasy Hockey Hacks presentation. We are more than thrilled to be teaming up with such a fine group of fantasy hockey geeks. We think we have some content to bring to that circle, and we're really excited about it. So, and what better time than World Juniors? It's the most wonderful time of the year. I'm here with Evan Debert. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Really excited for on a few fronts here. Like joining the Fantasy Hockey Hacks is a great mesh. I really like the content that they put out, and for us to be able to add the Dynasty portion and a little bit more of the futures talk to their show. It's gonna give us an opportunity to share some more wisdom of what we've learned over the years of fantasy. Wisdom. Well, I guess we're always still.
Think you're talking about.
Well, maybe you share some wisdom. I'm still trying to figure this thing out.
Yeah,
but
we are collectively bringing a bunch of titles and a bunch of league championships. We got some stuff to add. Also, just for those who enjoy listening to us, we will also be guesting on their Wednesday stream on Edmonton Sports Radio for heavy hockey on many a Wednesday, starting this Wednesday. I think we'll both be on there, and you can look for us there as well. They're a great group of guys. Always fun to get the discourse that comes with more people. I think if you and I ever guilty of anything, it's being on the same page a lot. So, it'll be nice to have some more opinions, and like you said, bring some longer-term outlooks to their platform. They aren't really going to be incorporating all that much Dynasty. That will be in this show, but we'll be bringing that element to their discussion. So, with that, let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about today. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's World Juniors. We're going to do a real heavy World Junior segment today. We're going to talk about what's been happening around the NHL. We're going to talk about our game of the week.
Game of the week. Well, like I said, I'm very excited on a number of fronts, and World Juniors, this is my favorite time of year. You get over Christmas, you get into Boxing Day and get things going. So this week's game of the week, we're going to go with a pre-tournament game. USA versus Sweden. I say probably the top two teams in the tournament, in my opinion.
Well,
but
that's not spoiler alert. We haven't even got there yet.
Well, it's still early, and there could be some surprises along the way. But yeah, this Friday, December 21st, next Friday actually, December 21st, we got at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. We have USA versus Sweden. So this is their last game, or is it I think this is their last game leading up to the pre-tournament, and so it's going to be great. Yeah, a lot of skill on both those teams, and yeah, it should be a great way to kick off leading into the tournament.
Oh man, I'm so ready for this. I thought Canada and Sweden played on Friday morning. It's the U.S.
It's the U.S. Yeah, yeah,
even better.
Yeah,
even better. I love that.
Unless those pre-tournament schedules are hard to find, so. This is the one that I saw from the IHF website. So,
well, they usually know what's going on.
Yeah.
Pre-tournament. Here we go. Let's just double check. Man, I am so pumped for this. I think I agree with you that I don't think it's going to be Canada's year necessarily. We'll dive into that. What's your favorite live World Juniors memory, buddy?
Live World Juniors memory.
Yeah. I think I already know the answer to this, but.
Yeah, well, there's a few. Like, actually, one of the craziest ones was a loss from Canada against Russia when Calgary was hosting. I think they were down 5-0, and they came back, and they almost tied it up, but they ended up losing. Seeing Zibanejad score the golden goal in that same tournament live, that was pretty awesome, too. How about you?
I thought for sure it was going to be the Kuznetsov
9-point game, same tournament. That was pretty wild, but
what's my favorite? My favorite live? I don't know, man. I got a pretty foggy brain from those days. I'm trying to remember the greatest game I saw. I don't know. I don't know what it would be. I've been to a lot of them.
Well, you got time to think about it.
I got time to think. I know the best junior hockey game I've ever been to was the Mooseheads Winterhawks Mem Cup final with McKinnon's hat trick and all that. But World Juniors is a tough one. There've been so many of those games, man.
I'm lucky, eh?
I'm lucky?
Yeah, you're lucky. You got to go to a lot of games. There was the one that Regina hosted. I remember we were at that one.
Yeah, we went to that one.
Yeah.
Went to the Calgary one. Went to Ontario. Oh, yeah, that would be it. It would be the McDavid year. I was so wasted at that game. I don't remember the game all that well. I think that was the one where Nurse beat up the Russian behind the net. Don't even remember who he beat up. But I was pretty gung-ho with that one. But we'll get there. Let's start. That's your game of the week. We're going to get some notes for next week, Saturday morning. That's our schedule from now on. Our episodes will be released on Saturdays. And again, you can look for us live on Wednesday nights. But we are going to start with some NHL stuff. We're going to talk around the league. This is sort of a new segment. Debert and I decided we like talking about current stuff too. So we want to talk about what's happening in the NHL now, how it affects fantasy a little bit, how it maybe even doesn't affect fantasy, just some discussions. So with that in mind, let's start. Patrick Kane is back playing hockey.
Yeah.
That's exciting. In Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
Brinkat.
And like people are tuning in to watch the games. Like Detroit's, leading up to Detroit was on quite the heater. Since he's joined the team.
Yeah, they're like 1-4.
Yeah, it's been a rough start. But goal and assist in that. And he's looked good. The creativity's there. The mobility's actually not bad considering the surgery he went through, and it's just been a rough time because their top two centers are out with Larkin and JT Compher, and so it's
we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, but he's -6 the goal and assist, not the greatest, but I figure like a guy that's missed that much time coming off a major surgery. What do you think? Like 10, 15 game mark is when we kind of can see what the rest of the year is going to look like.
I don't even think it'll be that soon. To me, I think that that was going to be my question: is how fantasy relevant do you think is? I think having Patrick Kane should pay off by the fantasy hockey playoffs. But you think about all the time he missed, the surgery he's coming off of, which no one's ever rebounded from. It's just a lot of up to speed that he has to get. So I think that it'll take some time. I think February, probably a good time that you can start to expect that we'll see the best version of Kane that we're gonna see.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm excited that he's in Detroit, though. I think that everyone was saying one of Detroit, Buffalo, or Ottawa was going to push for a playoff spot this year. I think we know who that team is now. You can safely say it ain't Buffalo and it ain't Ottawa. I can't believe DJ Smith is still coaching in Ottawa. That's insane.
Yeah, he's like they're holding steadfast on that one because there's nothing but just a chance for fire DJ. If you go on the Senators Reddit, they talk about getting rid of DJ left and right. So yeah, Staios is just kind of like holding firm, and it looks like they might just ride out the year and go fresh with a new GM and coach tandem. So.
And were it not for Claude Giroux, I don't think I'd have an issue with that. Mm-hmm. But your window with him in that top six is not like he's going to start to get that. Age catches up with everyone, So I think that wasting a year of Giroux is not a good call. And I think that a team like I would love to see Jay Woodcroft go to Ottawa because I think that they would see a quick result. A coaching bump would get them back sort of into the. I mean, we saw what it did for Edmonton. So yeah, we'll see. Anyways, there's that. The Joe Wall injury. That's
ouch. Yeah, you got him too in the league. You're really going for it.
He's my third. I'm okay without him. I think it sucks because He's an exciting goalie. And Toronto doesn't have a whole lot behind him. Sucks for Leafs fans. Did you see the play?
Yeah.
What a weird injury that was. Like, that was the most nothing goalie injury I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's some increased value for Martin Jones and Ilya Samsonov there for all you 1-year guys, or even maybe if you're making a run at it, you can sign Martin Jones. But yeah, that stinks. As an Oilers fan, I'm not too happy that Quentin Byfield sure seems to be turning the page this year.
Well, I think it was only a matter of time for the guy. I don't think he was going to flop. Like, he oozed skill. He's got the size, the creativity, the playmaking. The thing that's looked great so far this year is the goal scoring. He's shooting at a 15% clip. He's got 8 goals, 14 points, or 14 assists, 22 points in 26 games, playing on that top line with Kopitar and Kempe, and they've really meshed well. And I don't foresee that line being split up. I think they complement each other's skill set quite well, and he, probably the heir apparent to take over Kopitar's 1C spot if he retires in the next few years. But he's still going at quite the clip as well, and he's got that new contract and yeah, Kings are just rolling. I foresee those guys to be almost point per game across the board for the rest of the year.
How many goals is Kempe going to score this year?
What kind of pace is he at now? He's at like a 30-goal pace right now. I said 50, so maybe he'll hit 40 again. Damn, I really thought he was going to hit 50. But, Kings spread out the ice time a lot. They're really stacked in that top 9. So I might have been a bit lofty with going for 50. But
if you combine him with Trevor Moore, they're pacing for 60.
No, right?
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a little bit of old news, but I wanted to talk about it a bit. Let's talk about the David Perron suspension.
Well, we've talked about it. We talked about it on the hacks as well. I think you put it perfectly, so I'll just let you kind of say your piece on it.
Oh, that's real nice. Yeah. My thoughts were, as a fan, I'm fine with the 6-game suspension for a play like that. My issue doesn't come with the suspension for that. My issue comes with the lack of a suspension for the Jacob Trouba slash the week before. Similar plays like that. I mean, even the Goodbranson mugging on Cousins. It's those predatory plays and those really dangerous plays. I don't want them in the game. So punishment like this is the right call. It's just so silly to me that you get 6 for this, and Trouba gets a $5,000 fine. It really, there's no more perfect phrase in hockey than the wheel of justice. And today, on this suspension, it landed on the right thing. It just doesn't do it often enough, and that's my beef. Is protect the stars. Protect them. The NHL is better when guys are healthy. You saw Dylan Larkin get his neck broken by Jamie Benn on a stupid cross-check that got nothing, and now you got. I'm not saying that. Who was it that hit him there? It was a weird freak play. Was Joseph cross-checked him? I'm not saying that was worth a suspension, but these dangerous plays have to go, and it has to be with suspensions that are message senders. So I guess my thoughts are they got it right, and I hope we see more suspensions like this.
Yeah, if this is kind of like the new norm, then great, because that's a proper suspension for that. It could have even been 10 games, skating 5 strides to cross-check a guy in the face to retaliate. Yeah, that's there's no place in the game for that. And I love old school hockey and everything. Like, I think of Goodbranson's retaliation on Cousins. That's old school hockey. You make a dirty hit, I'm coming to get you, and you're going to pay the price. This a cross check to the face, no place in the game for that. So yeah, you're right. If this is where they're going with suspensions, great. I have my doubts. They seem to pick and choose when they go for hefty suspensions. So totally. We'll see. It's a never-ending topic that will just be frustrated with their lack of it. I don't know if they need to go like NBA style or NFL style where the commissioner has the final call. But yeah, it just doesn't work.
I think just getting a new player safety guy would be great. Peros can't do that job. He just picks a number.
Yeah.
And I think a large part of this for me as an Oiler fan anyways comes from Pietrangelo last year in the playoffs, where this is what you encourage when you don't punish properly. Is Pietrangelo goes and takes out a guy who is on a record-setting goal pace in the playoffs, and I mean, based on Draisaitl's play after that slash, I think he was injured severely by the play, and the puck was on the other side of the ice, and Pietrangelo came all the way across the ice to get him, and they essentially gave him one game, but they canceled it out with Nurse's suspension, which was a crock of shit because that was the first time they'd ever suspended that play. So, like the punishment to me, the message you're sending is it's okay to target stars. It's okay to go out and win a series like that. And quite frankly, I don't want to see that Bobby Clark shit.
No, let's play the game fair, play the game clean, hit hard, stick work, get it out.
Speaking of hard and clean, Johnny Tavares scores his 1,000th point in Long Island, and he gets booed for it. I tell you, I haven't seen Biz get unhinged on Twitter like he has on this in some time. What did you think about that?
I don't know what he or anyone that has an uproar over this expected. The ex-captain, first overall pick, the new savior of the New York Islanders, going to take him to the promised land. His contract year says he wants to stay in Long Island. He loves it here, everything like that. You could say that he led them on. And then, he goes to the rival Leafs, the whole Leafs bed sheets and pajamas and all that. Like, there's so much fuel to add to the fire. Of course they're going to boo him. It's in Long Island. It's in New York. Like, this is what they love to do. So, and in sports, I like that. I like the rivalry. I like people getting emotional. And if you were to stand there and clap, if you were pissed off at him leaving and you stood there and applauded him for his 1,000 points, but you weren't being genuine about it, I don't think that. So give your true emotion out, and they let him have it. I think not that he deserved it, but that's just, well, what more do you expect, really?
All right. So on a slightly different note, Jordan Kyrou got booed by his own fans for having nothing to say about Craig Berube yesterday. And for those of you that saw the post-game interviews, he was very close to breaking down in tears, if not in tears. That, if that was my team and I was a fan of that player, I would hate that. I would hate that. If McDavid had come out and shit-talked,
Woodcroft.
For some reason,
there's so many Oiler ex-coaches,
right?
So it's hard to remember.
If he had shit-talked Woodcroft afterwards, I wouldn't have been booing Connor McDavid the next game. Now, Jordan Kyrou is no Connor McDavid, but he is a cornerstone piece of that franchise. He is the second highest paid player on the team. And if you believe what he said after the game, he loves being there. He loves playing in front of those fans. So what did you think about that one?
Yeah, that one was making something out of nothing, really. Like, he was asked a question in a post-practice scrum or something like that about, what his relationship with Berube was. And he said, I don't have a comment. He's not my coach anymore. I don't think he might have said it in a tone, but I don't think he was malicious in the fact that he was just so for that to be taken and run with as like not being a team player, like by all accounts, Berube is adored there. He won them the Stanley Cup. Of course, they're going to love the guy, but he didn't say anything bad about him. And for the fans to boo him over that, I think it has a little bit to do with him having a rough start to the year and being minus $1 million over the last 2 seasons. But he did put up, what was it, like 36 goals, 37 assists, something like that last year. And he, like you said, he is one of their cornerstone players, and that's not how you bring the most out of a player. But this could be an opportunity for him to, like he said, get a fresh start, but also to kind of give him a little bit of mojo to kind of prove himself back to St. Louis. So it might actually turn out to be a good thing in the long run.
It's not why the fans did it, though.
No, there wasn't an intent to motivate
booing.
him. Yeah. I don't get how a collective boo from fans. Like if I was sitting there, I'd be like, why are we booing this guy? Like, what did I miss here? Did he say something beyond no comment? He's not my coach anymore. But
well, I have no problem with a fan base booing their team when a team is playing poorly. Sometimes I think it's undeserved, and I certainly remember last year in the first 2 games of the Devils season, they were chanting "Fire Lindy," and those went away pretty quick. But I didn't love the Kyrou thing either. It was a strange one. On a different note, who the hell is Michael Carsoni? I don't know who the hell this guy is, man, but he is just ripping a new one in the league. Dude's got like 14 goals already. From a fantasy perspective, I guess in cap leagues, jump on. But here it is.
Correction, 15 goals. He scored tonight.
Shut up.
It's 1-0 Arizona. Christ. Yeah. And he actually got robbed shortly after from a nice feed from Logan Cooley. So
are you watching a Coyotes game?
Yeah, it was Coyotes Sharks. Eklund had a goal called back. Granlund had a goal called back. It's actually not a bad game. I had to turn it off. It was in the first period, end of the first.
Eklund is heating up, man.
I know.
Eklund is looking very, very good.
Yeah, I have a feeling he might get a little bit of a bump in our under 23 list there. But
I'm looking forward to readdressing the under 23 and the prospects. That'll be coming after World Juniors, by the way. Yeah. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. But on to Carsoni. I think it's Carsoni. So what I've done a bit of research on him. So he's a 27-year-old undrafted player from the Q. He's played almost 400 games, 398 games in the AHL. He's got 267 points in those games. But it seems something has clicked in these last 3 years. In 2021, 2022, he put up 41 points in 48 games. Last year, he put up 85 points in 65 games.
Yeah, and this year, the league last year, didn't he?
Yeah, his lights out. And in the playoffs, 4 points, 3 games. And then he played in the World Championships last year for Canada too. He put up 6 points in 10 games. So he's something clicked for this guy. Hot streak for him, most likely. Yeah, but maybe he's that 1 in 100 guy that you pick up off waivers that you look like a genius and you're like, oh, I knew I've been following this guy all along, kind of thing. But yeah, no, he's looked good. He's looked really good so far. Some of those goals are really nice too.
Yeah, he's scored some pretty ones. Definitely came out of nowhere. Maybe he's the next Marsha show. We'll run through this one real quick. How about those Oilers?
Beautiful.
Coaching bump. Did you watch the game last night?
What was last night's game? Oh no, I didn't. No,
but that one stung. I hope that doesn't hurt the team's high they're on right now, because the deserve to win meter was 87% in Edmonton's favor. I think they took 57 shots and they lost 7-4.
Wow,
and
I didn't know that.
Vasilevsky was making some. Vasi was playoff Vasi last night, man. It was impressive. And then Skinner kind of fell asleep on the 5th and 6th goals. 4th and 5th. Anyways, 2 of the goals in the 3rd, and that was that. But yeah, quite a hot streak. I certainly have been guilty of. I'm not going to say I'm overreacting. I'm still not sure this is a Stanley Cup team, but nice to see them playing well as a fan, for sure. What I'd like to see, I was talking to someone today about it, and I said what I would like to see is it being worth making another Ekholm trade this year, because I do think if they can find another player like that, then, and a goalie, or Skinner progresses, then you can talk about this team being a contender. I don't think that you can talk about us being a contender right now, though.
Yeah. I think you'll pick up a depth defenseman for sure. Just with Broberg not panning out, and and asking for a trade and all that. But for the Oilers, like last night's game, I'd say like coming off of it was a 9-game winning streak heading into last night, right? Yeah, so those games, those losses are really important because the good teams, they bounce back quickly. So that they take what they learned from that game, and they move forward and they win the next game. Totally. It's like we talked about forever with Vasilevsky's stats in the playoffs, where he didn't lose 2 games in a row for how many years, right? Mm-hmm. So this will be a good one. Throw Skinner right back in the cage, and let's just get back on. Let's get another 3 or 4 game winning streak and go. But and they have Panthers coming up too. So and I think they played. You guys lost to them in November. So
who didn't we lose to it?
Yeah, you guys are sitting ducks. So
Calgary.
So yeah. So
Calgary.
if you want to be a cup contender, you have to learn to persevere, because in a series, when you lose a game, it's hard when you lose 2 games in a row. So I've always been a fan of running the regular season like a playoff series, one after another. So you play like a 7-game series. You got to win. Yeah, I like that format. I think it's great. You win 4 or 7.
7-game series.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, I don't care about a depth defenseman. I care about Cody Ceci not being in the top 4. That's what pushes us from where we are at now. But we'll see what they do. Kuzmenko, this is an interesting one, man. Now, everyone this summer was talking about the inevitable regression from his 28% shooting percentage last year, 27. It's hit him hard. He's been benched lately. There's been talk that he's potentially available. He did score 2 goals in the last 2 games, so he seems to be getting it through his head. What do you think's going to happen with this guy?
Well, I think even Canucks fans knew that there was going to be a correction to his stats, like shooting at that kind of clip. I love the chemistry he had with Peterson last year. Some of those one-time passes from Elias over to him was great. You had him last year, and you traded him at his peak value, which is a great move. But I still see a good
acquired him this year.
Yeah, but you got to return, right?
Better return than that.
Yeah. I still think he's got 60-point potential in that top 6 there, but for some reason, Brock Boeser has seemed to have stolen his mojo, and the guy is just unstoppable. So it's not like Canucks have missed a beat with that, because Brock's kind of picked up the slack. And Tocchet, he's a good motivator. So it's like the benching, the scratching will be a good way to kind of get him to feel a little bit better. And when that guy's going, he's always smiling, and he seems to be a joy to be around when things are. Yeah,
it reminds me of Clem Costin like that, where he's like just a good guy to have in the locker room.
Yeah, so it's the kind of guy you root for, always smiling. Joe Wall was kind of similar to that. Nice big bright smile, and Jack Campbell when things were going well.
I was gonna say Campbell.
Yeah,
good for you.
Yeah, another good locker room guy. But you always root for those guys. So I hope he picks it back up. And
you think he'll finish the season in Vancouver?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. $6 million is not easy to trade, and are they going to upgrade him? That's the question.
Well, that is a good question. As long as he's on the 4th line, I think they could find a better player for that role. But I don't think that's very good use of him. PP1 and line 4 for a $6 million guy isn't great. We'll see what happens. All right, the last player we want to talk about, the last NHL player. How about Kent Johnson?
What a roller coaster.
You see that overtime winner yesterday, buddy?
Yeah. Barring in.
That was World Juniors Kent Johnson we're looking at there.
Well, and that first goal he got too, that tip in, that was beautiful. It's been quite the year for the guy. I'd say it started off like a very sophomore slump for him. he was getting pushed around in corners, knocked off the puck, and the effort just was not up to snuff for Pascal Vincent, who has shown he means business. You got to come to play, scratching line A, sending Johnson down to the minors. He didn't even start game one, right? He was scratched game one of the season.
Yeah, that's right. He was scratched, played 5 or 6 games, and then he got sent down.
Yeah. So it looks like his stint in the A kind of woke him up, and you got to see, oh man, NHL life is quite nice. I need to pick it up. So yeah,
well, there's going to be this opportunity isn't going to stop because Liney's got a broken clavicle now, so he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. So it's going to be, and Boone Jenner's out. As a Columbus Blue Jackets fan. Sorry, if I were a Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yes, say since when?
Yeah. Oh man, it was day one since Rick Nash, best player ever. If I were a Jackets fan, I'm actually okay with these injuries because they haven't been playing Fantilli and Johnson necessarily as much as I'd like to see. Fantilli was hovering around 11 minutes a game for a while. Now he's first line center. He played 19 minutes in the last game. Johnson's doing well. And they're not making the playoffs this year, despite all their best efforts to spend $1 million or $1 billion on defensemen in the offseason. They're not making it this year. So develop those guys, slam play. So I like it. I might actually watch a little bit more Columbus now that these guys are playing more. So,
well, Johnny, where'd Johnny go? And like him and Huberdeau, like those are going to be your
Lindholm.
Classic.
And Lindholm, that whole line is falling apart.
Yeah, but those two are just they're going to be your poster boys for contract year guys. Like it's I guess Huberdeau wasn't a contract year, but yeah, Johnny was definitely. So yeah, Columbus another year. I think you were right earlier in the year where Yarmo days are numbered, and so
I did say that, didn't I?
After the Babcock incident, and then we agreed. It's like if they don't do well this year, he's gonna be he's gone, and they gotta start fresh. Like it's just not working. And I like the guy. I think he's a good GM, but it's just not working. So
that's a discussion I don't want to get into because I think if you look at if you play the old tip the scales game, I don't know that he's done more good than bad. I mean, it's a tough market, but there have been a lot of questionable moves. They've had almost no success, save for that series against Tampa a few years back. Mismanagement of assets is what I would call Bobrovsky and Panarin, and that was the same year that they did win a round. But I always look at things from the what gets you closer to a Stanley Cup perspective. And while a series win was long overdue for Columbus, letting all that talent walk that Yarmo has let walk over the years, I'm not cool with that. I'm never going to be okay with that. It's the same thing with Gaudreau last year. It's the same reason that I was talking about trading Leon Draisaitl earlier in this year. You can't let your best players go into the last year of their contract unsigned and keep them on your team. You look at some of the biggest blunders of the cap era, and it's been that. It's been John Tavares. It's been John Gaudreau. Just like letting these guys play that last year. And then what's your best case scenario? Like look at Vancouver right now. What they've done with Elias Pettersson. Like what the hell is going to happen there? So you don't pay the man because they allegedly weren't sold on him. And now, if you were to sign him today, he's gone from being 8 or 9 mil to 12, 11, right? It's like, why are you letting these guys go into the contract years? We have seen time and time again what happens in contract years. They bump their shit up and they play like top of their game all year. And that's not what you're paying for on the next 8-year deal. It's not what you're going to get. Don't let it happen. Now, obviously, Pettersson's an RFA. It's a bit of a different situation. But I do not understand how GMs put themselves in this situation where now you're like, well, we're a playoff team. How are we supposed to trade John Tavares and Johnny Gaudreau? Well, You want to lose that guy for nothing? That's how.
It's tough. It's like, especially in Columbus with Yarmo, like I'll cut him a bit of slack on what you're talking about there because that was their best chance that they've had in ages. And Panarin wasn't signing. So
They
what are you
knew
going to do?
Panarin wasn't signed.
What are you going to do though? Like you're
signing.
just going to be in this perpetual rebuild. Like, it's so tough. Like, it's so tough when you're trying to win.
But the problem with that is,
and you've already been through a rebuild.
Maybe it's just the wording on how you say that, but playing an extra 12 games in a year doesn't take you out of the rebuild. It gets you in the exact same situation next year with fewer assets than you would have had going forward. Like, you're actually perpetuating the rebuild more by not getting the assets. If you go out and get a couple first-round picks or a first and a prospect for Panarin at that deadline, you move them for a top 6 guy in the summer. You're further ahead the next year than you are currently with no Panarin and one series win under your belt. You know, like I understand it's a hard sell to the owners and to the fans to say, hey, our best player hasn't signed and we have to move him. But if the goal is to win a Stanley Cup, if I was a GM, you're signing the summer before or you're on the market, buddy. Like, I'm sorry. Because more often than not, that player leaves. In the UFA situation, he's signing if he wants to sign. He's walking if he's not. And we've seen time and time again that what a player says in the media ain't worth a damn thing. It's not. You know, Gaudreau got off the hook a little bit because it was a family thing and whatever. But, like, give me a break. Move him. John Tavares, like, come on. Guy deserves to be booed. Strung him along. Get out of here with that shit.
Yeah, who do we got this year? So we're going a bit on a tangent here, but I guess we got Willie Nylander in Toronto, and they didn't want to. Your point is taken here. They didn't want to give him the 10 mil contract that he's probably asking for. Hey, if you want me to sign early, it's going to be 10 times 8, and so now they're looking at hopefully they can get him for 11 almost.
Right. Well, and you know, like, again, contract year. I like Willie Nylander. I don't know that he's an $11 million, an $88 million contract. Like, I don't know about that. Another guy would be Steven Stamkos as the UFA this year. Now that's a cap thing. Sam Reinhart. Someone's going to give Sam Reinhart $8 to $10 million this year. Jake Gensel is a UFA this year. That's kind of the list.
It's not bad.
I mean, it's decent, but like, so here's a question. Kyle Dubois in Pittsburgh. Your first year as GM, Jake Gensel has not signed. Pittsburgh can't score on the power play to save their life. Pittsburgh has less than nothing in the pipeline. And we're a month away from the trade deadline, and Jake Gensel hasn't signed. What do you do?
Did you just give like a French pronunciation of Dubas's last name there?
Dubois. Yeah.
Dubois.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Always err on the side of French with NHL.
Yeah, I think I got Dumas wrong the other day. Dumas. But anyways, yeah, Pittsburgh. What do you do? I think. Well, he would have. So he's on long term. So he's like 7-year deal or something as president, hockey ops, the whole nine. Like, so he's been given the endorsement to just kind of like ride out this wave of Sid and Malkin and Carlson
and the next phase.
Yeah. Entering into the next phase. But like how demoralizing it is to have 4 Hall of Famers on your PP1 and you're one of the worst power plays in the league and you're out of a playoff spot. It's not pretty.
What are you doing with Jake Gensel a month before the deadline if he hasn't signed?
And
you're out of the playoffs. Like, Pittsburgh's not in right now.
You hang on to him. Yeah. Like, yeah. You plan to re-sign him. So.
Yeah, not me.
Yeah.
Jake Gensel is on the market. Highest.
Well, I'm not saying that's what I would do. I'm just saying that's most likely what's going to happen. in Pittsburgh. So
it's interesting. It's not what I would do. The only guy on that list, well, I guess Stamkos isn't going anywhere. Nylander, you can't. You're Toronto. Good luck. Ryan, they're all. This is the problem you face. You're going into the season. Guys aren't signing. They're having good years. You're in the playoffs. This is why I wouldn't let myself get through the summer. Forget now, because now you're in an unwinnable situation, right? You're right. You can't trade Gensler. You certainly can't trade Sam Reinhart in a playoff position. You can't trade Willie Nylander. Do not start the season with those guys unsigned. You just, you can't. These guys are going to go out and put up big numbers and be irreplaceable to your team, and you'll be worse if you make a trade, and you're screwed. And, the best case is you win a cup and they walk. The worst case is you don't win a cup and they walk. I mean, we're talking about the Leafs here. The Leafs aren't winning a cup, and they're going to lose Willie Nylander. Or they're going to pay him $4 million more than they would have had to last summer.
Yeah, your art of persuasion would have to be quite high as a general manager to have that be your MO. You'd have to have the Joe Sakic, Stevie Yzerman kind of clout to be able to pull that off.
I certainly think it would be a conversation you're having with the owners before you're hired. Here's what I will be known for. I'm not going into the season with UFAs who I want to stick around. They're either signed or they're gone. Anyways, that's enough time. That was a three-word note that went
we could have had a whole episode on that. So
there you go. I did want to. You and I talked a little bit about this. I think when we were doing that one draft about defense scoring. What a wild year it has been. So you and I were discussing what defensemen score at, what you can expect from a top 5 D-man. Last year, we got the first 100-point D-man since Brian Leetch in 1992 with Erik Karlsson. This year, on an 82-game pace, Makar is going to do 112. Hughes is going to do 106. And Bouchard is currently trending towards 97. And I would venture in the next 10 games, that pace is going over 100. What is going on with defensemen? And on a fantasy level, how does this affect your drafting going forward?
Well, that's a good little sidebar question. Well, I love the 100-point defenseman. It was back when I played. I was an offensive defenseman, so this is just it's a beautiful sight seeing. You look at the box scores and you just see Makar 3 assists and Hughes he's had a 4 or 5 assist game, and he's scoring at a clip that he's never scored. I think his goals above expected is way higher than you would expect from a guy who was traditionally a single-digit goal, 50, 60-point assist defenseman. But yeah, no, it's and you can see it coming up through the ranks from junior hockey. There's just point-per-game defensemen all over the place. You could see what's going on in the AHL. You got high-scoring D-men down there with even young guns like Brant Clark. Brant Clark. So and the interesting thing with Bouchard is that he's got 32 points on the year. 50% of those have come on the power play. And in the last 10 games, he's got 9 power play points. So he's averaging almost a power play point per game over this last winning streak stretch. So, and that's only going to go up.
And that's with us. That's with the Oilers being as bad as they've been in a long time for the first 15 games. That's why I say he'll be over 100%.
Yeah, his clip right now is ridiculous.
He was Makar when they were bad.
Makar, as an Avalanche fan, it's just you have to pinch yourself what you're watching because it seems like every games played milestone, he's broken another NHL record from Bobby Orr. It's just when does this kind of regress? And it just hasn't. He's could be a 100-point defenseman this year, and Bobby Orr's highest point seasons were in was it 150s? I forget, but yeah, he's doing it year after year, and it's a ton of fun to watch. And there's more guys coming up. They're going to be doing the same thing. Luke Hughes is having a great rookie year in New Jersey. Brant Clark, in the AHL. Like I said, you got Mintyukov or Zellweger in Anaheim. So there's a plethora of offensive defensemen coming up through the ranks. So it's the league is in a good spot because I feel like that's where the big shift in the scoring has happened, was the offense coming from the blue line.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of it also comes from the one D-man is getting a bulk of the power play minutes on most teams. We're seeing power play one stick out there longer. So it is very much an opportunity thing as well. So going forward, and this is a great draft to be having this discussion for, how are you bumping D-men in your pre-draft rankings? Like for me, historically, D-men take longer to develop. D-men cap out at 80 points, and the forwards are just an easier and safer pick more often than not. But you look at a guy like, and I have no friggin' clue how to pronounce this name, Zeev Bayam in the NCAA, what he's doing. Now, he's projected top 15 in most draft lists right now, non-fantasy. I struggle to think that he makes it past 5 in most fantasy drafts this year.
You think? You think the word's out to be snagging D-men?
Well, no, but that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's time for the word to be out that and I mean, there's always the risk of the guy panning out for sure. But whereas before it was your ceiling is he'll be a 70 to 80 point guy if he caps out. Now the ceiling is more like 90 to 100.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can snag a top 2 offensive defenseman in a draft, you're looking at a point per game defenseman.
Well, top likely. 1 on a team. Yeah. You need the guy, right? Like, and a great example. This is Bowen Byram.
Yeah,
like he's the 2nd/3rd best offensive defenseman on the Avs. That is not what we're talking about here. I don't give a shit about the 2nd and 3rd best player, D-man, on a team anymore, because even strength scoring for a D-man outside of these guys we're talking about isn't that. But the number one guy as a D-man now, 80 points is going to be like, when's the next time we'll see a Norris winner with less than 80 points?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because you got these guys like Dahlin last year. Obviously all of Buffalo's shit this year, but like next year, Dahlin, the next Norris Dahlin wins, or the first Norris Dahlin wins, it'll be because he clips more than 80 points.
Yeah. Well, and the competition's there, and these guys are, the best defense is offense, and so you look at a guy like Adam Fox, who, his defensive game is quite solid, but he also puts up points, and so it's just like the way the game is played. A puck possession and things like that. Like a guy like Quinn Hughes, Makar, of course, like it's easy pickings. But even Yossi, Heiskanen, like the list goes on and on. And so yeah, you're right. You want to try to, if we're talking entry draft in a dynasty league, you want to isolate players that are being picked in a situation where it's their number 1 spot to be taken on that PP1. Yeah. So
that's what we liked so much about Clark, was the pathway to number 1 was cleaner than Luke Hughes and cleaner than Zellweger.
Yeah.
Nikishkin would be a guy who I think I'm looking at more and more, because that first PP in Carolina is looking more and more available every day.
Anyways, you want to throw that K in that Nikishkin, eh? Every single time.
Is it not Nikishkin?
It's Nikishin.
Yeah, Nikishkin. Nikishkin. It's Listen, in Russia, the SH or the CH comes out as a K.
Okay.
This is your lack of understanding of the Russian language,
I suppose.
Is what's happening. Anyways, I think it's something you and I are going to discuss more. It's certainly something we're going to be discussing in the summer leading up to the draft. And I just, here in closing to our defense scoring segment, I will say good luck getting any one of these guys once they're pushing for 100 points. Like, good luck. I traded for Cale Makar in a league I was rebuilding in last year. So it's a keep. It was a keep 10. Now it's a keep 8. You want to hear what I paid for him? I was tanking. So I wanted to be bad. And I figured I'll take the best player. I had my 7. I had 8 solid keepers already. So I was looking at consolidating and getting the best possible guy. I traded, and this is from memory, so I'll see if I get it right. Quinn Hughes, Dahlin, Sam Reinhart, and Thomas Chabot for Cale Makar. Do I regret it? No. But Dahlin last year.
Yeah. Quinn Hughes this year.
Quinn Hughes this year. Now, I still got the best player, and I wasn't going to be keeping Hughes. I would have ended up keeping Dahlin. But I couldn't keep 2 of those guys, let alone 3 of them. I tell you who my keepers are, but like it was like my keepers were obvious, and I was adding Bedard at the end of the year. So what do? You consolidate, but that was the cost on getting Cale Makar. So, and in a cap league, he's even more expensive than that. So,
yeah, well, like we've talked about forever. It's just you just pay the price to get the guy you want. Just pay the price. Especially if you're rebuilding
on your league settings. You know, in a full keeper, I never would have made that trade. In a keep 10, I'm making that deal.
Especially if those contracts were kicking in too. But
totally.
Yeah.
All right, so that is our discussion on around the NHL for today. We're at the 52-minute mark. Let's hit up some quick discussion just for some Dynasty sort of updates. A few guys we wanted to talk about. Nemec has been pretty darn good in Jersey so far. This was a guy who opportunity led to us ranking him lower than a lot of people ranked him. I'm not backpedaling our ranking of Simon Nemec yet because he's playing very well with Dougie Hamilton out. So I'm not ready to, say we're wrong or move him up too high, but he has been very good in Jersey. Most nights they've said he's been their best two-way D-man, so that's exciting for the Devils. They've also got, and we'll touch on this shortly, but like Seamus Casey is a player too. Mm-hmm. That's just an embarrassment of riches over in Jersey. But yeah, Nemec had a heck of a first couple games. He's slowed down a bit offensively, but he sure looks like an NHL defenseman out there.
Yeah, that Hamilton injury has given him a good look. Mm-hmm. And he hasn't looked out of place. Looks actually quite polished in Jersey. 3 points in 6 games. That's a nice start for 19-year-old defenseman. I do feel, though, he needs at least one more stint in the AHL after this so he can go back and see what works at this level and kind of like work on his offensive game a bit more. And then at the latest, starting at the start of the year next year, be full-time with the Devils, and you'll see him probably close to 30 points next year. Second pairing. But like I said, that PP1 spot is locked down. Luke Hughes long
too. I mean, they've given Hughes PP1 for some reason. Hamilton has been the better player, but they're really spraying the offense in Jersey. But there's no power play time coming Nemec's way for.
But that's too like Hamilton missed a chunk of time. Like broken. He had what did he break that one year where he missed almost the full season? But I was going to say femur, but that's a big injury. I don't think
it was a
femur.
Weird one though. It was a weird. I don't remember.
Yeah, but who knows? Like the miles will catch up to Dougie Hamilton at some point, and we'll see.
Yeah, then Nemec skyrockets. Yeah, nice to see Devon Levi back in Buffalo and doing well. Did he start tonight? I haven't even looked at the scoreboard tonight.
They're playing Vegas. They're playing Vegas late here. Buffalo's winning, and
Buffalo won.
Oh, sweet.
5-2.
Just finished.
And it was Devon
Levi's.
Levi.
Yeah,
32 saves, 34. So he has really picked it up for Buffalo since spending a little bit of time in the AHL. This was a guy, a lot of people were saying a lot of things. Mostly, no one in 30 years has come in and been the starter straight out of college. So why is it going to happen now? Buffalo hasn't been very good. They've been downright bad. They've been a lot worse than last year. But Levi looks to be coming around. Now, we were beating the drum on Devon Levi for a long time. This is a guy who the opportunity to own him only gets more costly as time goes on. I haven't told you this yet. I'm in a keep 5 league. And in this league, it's a max of 4 goalies. It's like 10 teams. It's so stupid. I hate this league. But still got to win the damn thing. I'm not winning it this year because I went at it last year. I just traded Ilya Sorokin. I traded him for draft picks for next year. And it was because some idiot dropped Devon Levi. So I scooped him up immediately, and I traded Sorokin. It might be too early for Levi to be considered your top 1 or 2 goalie next year, and that's what I'm talking about right now. But I'm never letting him go. He's gonna be the goalie on that team for a long time, and yeah, we're happy to see him there. We'll talk about him even more in the World Junior segment. But nice to see him back. Nice to see him doing well. And I hope that he doesn't get sent down again because I like to say I'm right. I like saying I'm right about stuff.
Well,
especially when you're bucking the trend so hard. I mean, a lot of people jumped on to the Devon Levi's worth owning train, but some fairly well-respected and smart fantasy hockey guys were like, y'all are a bunch of idiots.
I remember the moment that I picked him up in our 12-year keeper. It was like he made a kick save, toe save in like the first World Junior game. And I was like, did a quick search. Oh, no one owns him. And then I went on Elite Prospects, read his stats were what? Last year, and so and he's his college. He was the best goalie the last three years in college, 2 years in college. I'm surprised the AHL stint was so short, being 2 games. I figured that they would have been like.
Thing. It was.
Did Comrie go down again, or
no? UPL.
UPL went down.
He was down for a couple games, then Comrie, and it was really a necessity thing because I think it would have been longer. I agree with you. But yeah, we're excited.
Buffalo needs some consistency in net and then just kind of work out from that. And then you got Tage coming back soon.
Tage is back.
Is he back?
Yeah, he's been back for 2 or 3 games already.
All right.
Skinner's out now.
Skinner's out now, but Quinn should be coming back. So that'd be a good.
Quinn's back shortly. Benson's on the top line tonight. That second line, I think that second line, once they reunite Peterka with Quinn, by the way, buy low on Peterka. This is as low as he's going to be. It's not low. But him and Quinn play very well together. Cousins is going to get a bump. Quinn, I mean, obviously it's going to take him a month or 2 to get up to speed, but that line was very good last year. There were a lot of nights where they were the best line for Buffalo, and Peterka's obviously having a breakout year. Cousins going to bounce back, and Quinn's going to do well. I wonder what happens to Benson when Skinner comes back in that case. Anyways, a couple guys I want to talk about. There's 3 more AHL players we want to talk about because we love them so much. Do you know who's leading the AHL in scoring right now, Ev?
Is it Maverick?
It's Maverick Bork. You know who's right behind him at number 2?
Stank.
It's
Boy, Stank.
Man, how exciting. It's really like both of these players. What they're doing is just stupid. Stankoven's a rookie in the AHL. Maverick Bork played last year and was good, not great. But these 2 guys are just going to be very, very good together in the pros. These are guys you should be acquiring if you can as a rebuilding team. And then Brant Clark is 7th overall in scoring and the highest scoring defenseman in the AHL. I don't see much of an adjustment period for him once he hits the show, man. Like, LA is too good to make a change like that right now. But as soon as there's an injury on defense, look out, Jordan Spence. He's coming for your job.
Yeah, Brant. We both thought maybe the Kings will give him a shot to play as a rookie this year.
Yeah, I thought he'd play.
But like I think I had mentioned like he played pond hockey in the OHL last year and put up 2 points a game. Like it might just be too much of a jump to try to do that in the pro game. So dominating the next level was probably the better route for him. And so yeah, he's doing that right now in the AHL.
Hasn't taken him long.
Yeah, dominated the O, dominating the A as a 20-year-old, and then next up, he's going to be dominating the show.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about that pond hockey comment, because you bring that up a lot, the only thing I would say about that is he was given a different role on Team Canada during the World Juniors last year, and he did not look out of place. He was able.
He didn't look as good though. Like he
wasn't 2 points a game, but he also wasn't on the top power play. It was So for every yin, there's a yang there. If he'd been the guy feeding it to Bedard, he probably would have led Team Canada in D scoring too. I mean, so would Kevin Korchinski. Whoever you put there is going to be your highest scoring D.
Oh man.
And Zellweger was obviously fantastic last year, but physically, he's a lot further behind than Brant Clark is. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's our AHL talk. These are all guys that we like a lot. If you're looking at rebuilding trades right now, you should absolutely be looking into these players. I would say in order. I'm going to put together an order, and then you put together an order. The order of the guys I want to acquire from those 3 AHL players. Number 1 is Brant Clark. Number 2 is Stankoven. Number 3 is Bork.
Same.
Yeah. All right. We are just past the 1 hour mark here. And finally, we can talk about the World Juniors.
Oh, buddy. We're 11, I guess, because it's early games. It's in Sweden, so we're almost 10 days away on the nose here. So
we're like 10 days and 6 hours.
Yeah. Like Yeah. It's it'd be a good tournament. I was reliving as I was getting this jersey out of like last year's tournament and the hype we had.
Ev's wearing a Team Canada jersey, by the way.
Oh yeah. I got my old Team Canada jersey on, but
he still hasn't figured out that we're not streaming on YouTube. But that's okay. You guys, look at
I can see you. How could they not see me?
Well, I'm wearing a pink tracksuit with a yellow stoner hat from the bakery.
Yeah. But yeah, so the season's upon us. I can't wait. I do love the early games. I like waking up on holidays and watching the games early.
Gross.
So yeah. Not,
I'll do it. I won't say I like it. To me, here's what I love, and here's what I hate about these games: is New Year's Eve doesn't feel like New Year's Eve without a New Year's Eve game. I don't give a shit about watching hockey at 9 a.m. on January 30th. Like, I don't care. Give me the 6 p.m. Give me the 10 p.m. I don't want to, like, it doesn't.
But it'll be like a 1 p.m. That's not bad.
It's not great. As a guy who doesn't party, I want to watch hockey to ring in the new year, not be done watching hockey before I eat dinner. Anyways, I don't love the early games. I prefer the night times, but also I'm a guy who gets holidays off usually, so that helps. I want to do a couple things. I want to talk about these teams. I want to talk about the podium, and then I want to pick who you and I will do a little bit of a draft here. Do you have a coin? I don't have a coin. We'll figure it out. Best forward, best D, best goalie. So why don't we start just by going through the favorites and who here? So to preface this, I will say every episode from now on, buddy. I will say this is a time of year where GMs in Dynasty leagues gain value at an insane rate on some players who were either not known or not known enough. As Debert said, he picked up Devon Levi 3 years ago, 2 years ago. And now, like, Levi's your number one goalie of the future. I've picked up a ton of guys over the years, either on free agency or just made trades for guys before the World Juniors and then either flipped them or held them for a year or two. But some guys don't know what they have yet. I would use as an example of a guy you can claim off of free agency, and 99% of the leagues out there right now. Jordan Spence played 2 pre-tournament games the year he was there. He looked really good. I did the same thing as you. I looked at his stats, said, pretty good player. I claimed him. He later ended up getting shipped out in a deal for, oh God, I don't even remember who. It was a big deal, though. Timo Meir and Robert Thomas. He was a piece in that deal. So, good time to be snagging these guys. So with that in mind, we're looking at the Team Canada roster. We're looking at the USA roster. We're looking at Sweden. We want to talk about some guys who you can either get on free agency now, or you should be out there asking the GM who owns, and I'm going to say him now, Cutter Gauthier. See what he thinks about Cutter Gauthier, because I'll tell you, a month from now, Cutter Gauthier's value and Lane Hutson's value will be higher than it is today. Without question. Barring an injury, those guys are going to inflate their stock. So you got to jump on this today. Today, when you guys are hearing this, it's going to be December 16th. Get those feelers out before next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Try and swing a deal. So with that in mind, let's dive in. Let's start with Team Canada, because I think most of our audience is probably Canadian. Some guys who I think you should be looking for bumps from. First of all, this is kind of an interesting one. Tristan Luneau. I don't know about you, pal. We'll get your opinion. I think he's going to be the best defenseman on Team Canada. The only guy I think who's challenging him, maybe Tanner Molendyk.
Interesting.
Anyways, Luneau is a guy who he's going to go out and he's going to play 30 minutes a game. This Team Canada is lacking the Brandt Clark, the Olin Zellweger. They're lacking that top guy. Luneau's going to get a ton of minutes. This is a guy who's going to increase his stock. Having said that, he's in the pros, he's behind Minty and he's behind Zellweger. This isn't a guy we want you to hold forever. This is a guy who you should be claiming today or buying really low on today, and you should be selling on him before the middle of January, hey?
Yeah, he's a good candidate for that. If he is able to lock down that number one role on Team Canada, then yeah, for sure, because there's just too many roadblocks for him in Anaheim. And, you know, like Anaheim's going to be in a great position to have a top 4 of all under 23 studs in a couple of years. But yeah,
will be one of them, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But he's just not going to get
the power play,
the special teams time. Yeah. He might be morphed into penalty kill 1 guy, maybe power play 2 guy if they do decide to ship off Zellweger, because Zellweger might just be very redundant if Mintyukov is what he's been showing so far.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And another guy in Canada that I like is Matejchuk, Devon Matejchuk.
Yeah.
So I think he's for me like the one that could take that top power play spot from Luneau. He's got 35 points in 24 games in the dub, and some of the highlights are ridiculous for this guy. He's good, but he's also in a similar situation for him as Luneau is he's got some roadblocks in Columbus.
Yurchak and Werenski and
another
demon.
Yeah, these teams with these embarrassment of riches of like drafting these junior phenom scorers.
Well, I think Matejchuk was the last guy cut from camp this year too in Columbus. He almost made that team. So
almost made it. I don't think there was a spot for him, and he needed another year. But he stuck around, so they wanted to see more from him. But yeah, so those are the 2 guys that I'd keep an eye on, because if they do, like you said, if they do have a good tournament and become household names for Canada, their value is going to go up, but their real world value won't, because there's just too many roadblocks for them.
Yeah, these are flips.
Yeah,
I agree. Team Canada forwards.
There's a few nice ones in there. All kind of like first rounders, household names. But you got Matthew Wood, who I'm a big fan of. I'm a holder of him, and looks like, I hope he gets to play shotgun with Celebrini like he did in the under 18s, and he shows in a good tournament. And so he's Nashville's first from last year. He's putting together a slow and steady season so far in UConn, but if he does click,
steady team though too.
Yeah, he's a longer term projection. I could see him being at least 2-year guy in the NCAA, maybe even going into his junior year. But who do you like up front for someone who's going to boost their value in this tournament?
Danielson.
Yeah.
I think that with what we haven't seen from Marco Kasper this year, it makes owning Danielson a little more appealing. And I think he's just a hell of a two-way player. I think Easton Cowan is a player who's going to do really well in whatever role you put him in this year. The question to me is, where does he end up? He's also already got that built-in inherent Leafs bump, but he's a guy who really kind of snuck into the first round last year based on his second half. He was also the last cut on Toronto. Did he play? No, it was Fraser Minton played some games. But Cowan was the last cut. He's doing very well down in the CHL this year. So those are two guys who I think you could see big things from. Celebrini's obviously, I think, the guy who he's the guy we're paying to see. But those are two guys who I think I would be buying on right now and holding.
Yeah, and holding. That's a good one. There's a guy that is an interesting one. He's having a great year in the O with Kitchener. Carson Rykhoff. He's second rounder last year with Seattle. He could be a top 6 forward on this Canada team, and if he clicks with the right centerman there, talk about a guy that's like, who? How do you pronounce his name? To being like, wow, he had an unbelievable tournament. So he's a good candidate for that as well. Just someone that most haven't really heard of. And, if you're in a fairly deep league, he might not have even been drafted last year. So,
yeah. Well, and then the other guy who I think is an obvious pick, who I'm not holding, but who I think you might get some flip value on, would be Geeky. I think he'll get some big minutes, and I don't know how I feel about his long-term outlook. This tournament might actually go a long way in determining that, or at least contributing. He's a guy who I think will get the big minutes. And then, here's an interesting one, and he'll probably be the highest scoring forward on Canada, highest scoring player on Canada, and that's Jordan Dumais. He's obviously on that team to play power play 1. You don't take him to not play on the power play. He's going to put up a lot of numbers. So I think as a flip, 100%. If you can get him cheap, go get him. I still don't know how I feel about him long term in the show, but it's not for a lack of production. The guy's done everything you could want a player of his size and skill set to do.
Like he would be, if you were to look at like a realistic.
Are you pissing right now?
No.
Are you pouring a drink?
No.
Wild. Something's going on with the audio.
Oh shit.
Sorry. I thought for sure you were pouring a drink and that would be a good joke. Sorry. Jordan
Might be a leaky faucet around here or something.
New apartment. That's what that
New
is.
apartment, yeah.
I hear the roof.
I did have laundry going.
These mics are good.
Yeah. But yeah, Jordan Dumas, Connor Garland. So a guy who dominated the queue, undersized, made it to the show, has had a pretty good career. So he might be kind of like what you're looking at for a realistic if he does make it.
Connor Garland in Phoenix or Connor Garland in Vancouver?
Well, yeah, Phoenix is where he kind of made his name and he was progressing to be better, but yeah. So a guy like that, and the odds of him, clicking to be that undersized guy. Like I like Stankoven's odds to be that next big little guy that really translates over to the show versus Dumas. But they've had similar numbers
game too.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Stankoven's game and Dumas' game are not the same. Like Stankoven can be an elite checker. Dumas can.
Yeah. True.
But yeah, he might be a good flip. Let's talk about the favorite for this tournament. They got to be the favorites. The U.S., the big bad Americans. These guys, I mean, where do you even start? They're just such a solid team, top to bottom. I think the scariest thing about the Americans to me, I'm just bringing up some things I was looking at today. The scariest thing to me is their defense. Their defense is disgusting this year. Like, potential to be one of the better defenses we've seen at the World Juniors in a long time.
And that's funny because their offense is so ridiculously stacked.
Oh
too.
No, for sure.
That's the scariest thing for you. Like that's the funny part. And just, they've put this team together. This is proof that under 18 program is like lights out working. The development that they've had and just this year, and this is the 18-year-old season for a lot of the young forwards too in the World Juniors. So, but yeah, for defense, who you like?
Who do I like? Jeez, wait. Who am I most excited to see? Zeev, for sure. Zeev. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen a game. I've watched a lot of his highlights, but I haven't seen a game. I'm really excited to watch him. Obviously, Lane Hudson is going to just have his way with this tournament. He's the guy on power play one there. I'm really excited to see Seamus Casey. Watched a fair bit of him last year, and he was very, very good in the NCAA. And then, from there it drops off a bit. I think Chesley's a player. And then Rinzel is a guy I'm really curious about because he's a Chicago draftee. I'd like to see what's coming from there. But he was a longer-term project when he was drafted. I'd be curious to see that. That's just on their D. But, the way I look at that is Hudson and Casey would both be number one Ds on probably every other team in the tournament.
Okay.
And Casey is a guy who just he's been in the shadows everywhere he's gone. He's always played behind someone shinier and flashier, but he's just, every time I watch him, he doesn't make mistakes. He's a very, very smart player, and he's a guy. This is a guy who I think, if and when Jersey goes all in, is probably available. And a rebuilding team who makes a move with Jersey is going to get a heck of a piece if they move him. He's who I thought would go in the Timo Meier trade last year. So too bad for the Sharks. That's what I think about their D. I think we're probably on the same page there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Seamus Casey is the one that I'm curious to see. But Lane, I just wonder what kind of game he's going to be bringing to this tournament. Is he going to continue with that Dipsy Doodle style?
Yeah, he is. Of course he is. He's going to.
But also, is that going to work against Canada and Sweden?
Yes.
It worked
last year.
We'll see. Yeah.
I mean, it works.
But like at the
it works
next
in
level,
college.
a 19-year-old in this tournament, like this is a tournament for 19-year-olds. So this is where you. Yeah.
I don't think that any coach worth a damn looks at Lane Hudson and says, "We want you to change your game in this tournament." I think you tell him to go out and score 20 points and let the other guys handle the rest of it. Because I mean, he's gonna abuse teams. I mean, you see what he doesn't. There was a game highlight I watched from Boston probably a month ago. It was 12 minutes long from a single game, and it was just like half of that would work in the NHL, but it worked in college. It's like so I think that we'll see that version of Lane where he's like, he'll just show that he's better than you. He's not trying to show what he can do in the NHL. He's trying to win a gold for USA, and he'll just take what he can get. Yeah. Okay, forward wise, Jesus, I don't even know where to start with this team. I'm really excited to see the second line. Obviously, Will Smith, Leonard, and Perreault. That's just going to be a treat. I think those guys are going to abuse second pairings at the World Juniors, and the scariest thing is that's their second line.
And for those guys, like I think Perreault, this might be a good tournament for him in like a fantasy keeper train of thought that he's going to be boosting his stock. Like, record-breaking season last year, great under 18s and all that, and he still went in the 20s in the draft.
He's a guy who would go higher in a redraft today, though. He's doing
for sure. But like if he puts up point per game again, I think he's probably the best playmaker on that team. So he's
I mean,
passer. We'll say passer.
Right. Will Smith is right there with him.
Yeah,
for sure. Those two. Yeah, I mean, the thing about this U.S. roster is I think all of them are going to increase their value. Like the only guys who won't, and we haven't seen what the final lines are, but like the third and fourth liners who don't get power play time. And I think we know what the power plays are going to be for the U.S. So in their practice today, they were rocking a power play of power play one was Hudson, Gauthier, Perreault, Leonard, Howard. It's thought that Howard is holding down Rucker McGroarty's spot. And then the second line was Snuggerud, Casey, Smith, Nelson, Nazar. So all those guys look for their stock to increase. Like that's second power play is insane. Snuggy had an insane World Juniors last year. Casey, we just talked about. He's going to play with Smith.
That's hilarious.
What?
If you've been following college hockey, like this is like an all-star college hockey team.
Yeah, totally.
Like this isn't just like a World Junior team. This is like under 25 or under what would we say? Under 23 is like a college hockey player. So this is like an under 23 college all-star team. Yeah, and they're all 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, like all 10 of these guys are going to be NHL players. So
now, an interesting one you did mention, McGroarty. If it wasn't for his injury leading up to this, he was having a great year.
He'd be the
in
captain.
College. Yeah, he would have been kind of like my dark horse to be one of the top scorers because he had that awesome under 18 tournament a couple of years back. Like I said, he's having a great year in Michigan. So we'll see what happens. But he took a funny hit into the boards.
Oh, that was a big hit on him.
Yeah, it was weird. It was how he landed, like back first and then stretchered off.
Yeah, he got folded.
Yeah, so we'll see if he's good to go and if he's playing top line with Cutter, Watch out.
Here's what I actually we'll talk more about this. Who finishes the tournament as the number one goalie?
Number one goalie?
Yeah.
They're going to ride the hot hand.
Who finishes the tournament as the number one goalie?
Well, this is such a rhetorical question to me.
It's not.
I'm going Fowler.
You're going
I think
Fenway.
he's.
Okay.
I think Augustine will get the initial start just because of his under 18 experience with them last year, leading
And he's
them.
older. He's a year older.
You're
Or he's
older.
8 months older, I think.
And hey, he's had a great year from Michigan
He's
State
also
as
been
well.
very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're saying
I just
Fowler.
think Fowler's just like Mr. Steady Eddie. Like positionally, he does not. He's just in the right spot at all times. He doesn't have to make these miraculous saves all the time. He does though. Yeah, that's the guy's got some elite starter potential coming out of college.
I agree with that. Yeah, watch out for US. Sweden.
Oh, one other guy, James Hagens. So,
he'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, he'll be fun to watch.
Undrafted, so
undrafted, but yeah, he's slated to be top pick 2025.
2025, yeah.
His speed's amazing, hands are amazing. Reminds me a lot of Jack Hughes. So watch him. He's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, the only beef I have there is Ice. He's not gonna get the Primo Ice.
No, probably not. There's too many placeholders there. And,
he'll get the Adam Fantilli treatment from last year, albeit a year younger. But yeah, there's so many guys I'm excited to watch in this tournament.
Then like Cole Eiserman doesn't even get an invite to camp. Like it's there's just wasn't enough spot. There's too many skilled players for that team. Like you got Nazar and Moore are going to be playing role playing spots. Penalty kill.
And even like
thing.
Whitelaw's a player, Hayes is a player, Nelson's a very good player. Finley's having a big year. None of these guys are going to get a sniff. And these are guys who, realistically, on your average Team US, are probably at least in the top 6. So, yeah, they got so much talent. I don't see how this team loses. And the one team that might beat them is Sweden. The nice thing about Sweden is we don't have to talk about every friggin' player on the roster. There's some guys who stand out more than others. Some guys I'm watching. I think Havled's going to have a very big tournament in net for Sweden. Axel Sandin Pellikka. This guy's a threat for top D of the tourney for sure.
Yep.
He's going to be very fun to watch. Tom Wallinder, the questionable Vancouver pick over
Zach Benson. Yeah.
Don't like that. And then they have their own super line of Lekkerimäki, Ogren, and Osland, who all play together for years, and they play in Djurgården, and they will have chemistry right off the bat. They will be a very good line. Lekkerimäki's on a bit of a revival tour this year. He's had a very good year in Sweden. You're very happy about that, I know. And then the guy I'm looking at, just from I haven't seen him before, is Felix Sorum, who is one of the younger drafted players this year. He'll be fun to watch. These are all guys who I think you should be getting if you can to flip. Lekkerimäki and Pellikka being the two that I'd want to hold on to. Hey.
Yeah, he's had a great resurgence. Not a great year last year, but injuries and just everything it just wasn't clicking for him. That's tough over playing pro hockey and having injuries and going from one program to the next and up and down in World Juniors and everything. Lekkerimäki would be. He's kind of, I was thinking today, is like he could be like a dark horse for like top scorer of this tournament. Like he's done it before at other international events at the under 18. I think that was the Ivan Halenka Gretzky Cup he did that in. But yeah, and then one guy you didn't mention, Otto Stenberg, who was great last year at the under 18 too. But I just don't know how much opportunity he'll have with that top power play. He might be utilized more of a two-way role. And then Wallinder, I foresee him kind of being a bit more of a shutdown guy for this Sweden team, which will be great for Vancouver fans to watch because that's what you want him to be because you have Quinn Hughes already. So he'll be the steady Eddie back there. And but yeah, you nailed it with sending Pellikka. It's what he's doing this year in the Swedish league, and how they have Nicholas Cronwell
Yeah.
coaching
Just another
players over there.
Detroit defense pick being developed by former Red Wings over in Sweden.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah, so those are we'll save you the drama. Those are our three, I think safe to say, our three picks for the podium.
Yes. Yeah.
What's the order you foresee there?
Well, we're gonna save it at the end, aren't we? Or are we just gonna do it now?
I don't give a shit.
Medal ceremony at the end. Let's go through the rest.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Czechs. I'm very excited to talk about Yuri Kulich.
Yeah.
This is another guy who I think this is a tournament that he can just toy with. Not surrounded with a ton of talent, but the Czechs do often. They play a very good team structure. They've been doing well as of late in these types of tournaments. They have a decent goalie back there. So Kulich is a guy who, we've been talking about Kulich for a long time. You should be buying and holding on Kulich. But he's a guy who I think has a shot at top forward as well.
Well, he was on the all-tournament team last year, the media all-tournament team.
Yeah.
Which you don't usually see a returnee from the all-tournament team. So that's fairly unique to that. And yeah, great year again in the AHL, 13 goals, 20 games. Yeah, you've been if you've been listening to Puck Dynasty, you should know that, or you will know that Ryan is screaming at you to pick up Yuri Kulich.
Pick up Yuri Kulich.
Yeah, he's screaming. Yeah.
Well,
Hrabal, goalie. Like that guy's an interesting one too. Like second goalie taken in the draft last year, having a nice freshman year in college hockey. He's huge. Like
he's
6'6".
Very big goalie.
Yeah.
He's the type of goalie who does well at these tournaments.
Yeah.
And he's a guy who will steal a game or two for the Czechs, I think.
Yeah.
For sure. I think the Czechs are a threat for the podium too.
Yeah, they were one of my. I think there's three teams that'll be like bronze medal game ish.
Yeah.
And Chalet too. He's
Swiss.
Yeah.
Swiss
no, Chalet. Chalet. Isn't that how you pronounce it?
Swiss Chalet.
Swiss Chalet. Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Well, I thought you were talking about this Team Switzerland.
Why would I be talking about Team Switzerland? We're talking about the Czechs.
This is true. This is true. But yeah, this would be an interesting year for him, or tournament for him. He's having an okay year. He came over to the OHL. He's got 21 points, 25 games. He will be leaned on quite heavily with Kulich to kind of like stir the drink there. And he's just got to put it all together. Like the skill level's there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can take that next step.
Mm-hmm. Take us through Slovakia for me.
Slovakia. So we got Dvorsky. He's the top dog there, putting up insane numbers in the Sudbury this year. He's got 34 points in 20 games after coming over. I think it was the season had just started. He came over late.
He was 5 or 10 games into his season overseas.
Yeah. So it just wasn't clicking. And when he was playing over in Europe in professional league, I forget, was he in the Swedish or Finnish league? One or the other, or was he in the Czech league? I don't remember. But anyways, he's in Sudbury. He's doing great. 18 goals in 20 games too.
Yeah,
Had a great under 18.
10 games in Sweden, no points, which was enough to send him across the pond.
And he single-handedly dragged Slovakia to the bronze medal game last year in the under 18 games. And so yeah, St. Louis has a good one with their first pick here. If you could pick him up, if you are selling, and that'd be a good guy to identify, I would say. And I would hold on Dvorsky too. I think he's got everything. Next up, Hanzik, the Flames first rounder from last year. Good two-way forward. Only played 7 games this year for Vancouver Giants. He was injured in the preseason with the Flames, but this will be a good opportunity for him. He should be first line everything on Slovakia. They don't have a ton on the wings, so he'll be given a lot of opportunity. And then you got Massar, the Habs first rounder. in 2022. Had a
What
bit
a
of
whiff. What a whiff that pick was.
Last year, it was a whiff, but he still put up a point per game. This year, he's having a good year. It's 32 points in 20 games.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine.
But it's just like it's a lot of the same in Montreal. So he might be a victim of the numbers game, but he's having a good year. So if I have a feeling he might get to play with Dvorsky this tournament, and so it could be another stepping stone for him. And then
good guy to buy on right now, though, for sure.
Oh yeah. But
I think most of the guys we mentioned are good guys to buy on.
Well, it's funny, like the ups and downs you can have with prospects, because his season last year wasn't great. It was almost a point per game, but he's coming back this year. But it's almost like the perception has changed to being like, well, what a whiff that was. I think you just said.
Who says that?
Yeah, yeah. And then we got the goalie from last year, the one who stole everyone's hearts.
Didn't they? Remember, he was robbed as player of the games in one of those games, right? Where it was they gave it to someone else, and he made. Was it the Team Canada game?
Would it have been? I remember hearing he had the flu that game, and
that was his Michael Jordan.
Yeah, that was his Michael Jordan, the Bedard quarterfinal heartbreaker.
That was the overtime. Hey.
Yeah, the overtime beat the whole team to score. Yeah, I guess he had the flu that game, and he collapsed after he scored the goal. And I heard a quote that it wasn't that he was like, yes, he was upset and devastated, but it was almost like a relief that it was over. Like it's just like, oh, it's over. Like he was just running on fumes. Like fuck. Yeah.
So, you know what he needed? He needed Scottie Pippen to carry him back to the bench. Is what he needed. That's what.
Don't we all?
Yeah, we all need our Scott. That could be a book. Guy I'd like to just get mad about for a second is Rodwin Danicio from Team Swiss, and of course he's a Ducks pick. It's another D-man. Kid's put up 29 points in 26 games between the Spitfires and Saginaw this year. Just another home run Ducks pick. Like, then we got Zellweger and Minty already pushing for spots in the pros or holding down spots in the pros. You got Luno, who's going to be a top D-man for Canada. Now you got this guy who's easily going to be the best player for the Swiss. I think you might see a sort of Jesus Christ, I'm tired. Who did Montreal pick at number 5 this year?
Oh, you and Carey Price.
Right?
Reinbacher.
Nice. Yeah, Reinbacher. Thank you. There it is. I know who I'm talking about. It's 12:30.
So did Carey Price.
Yeah, he knew. The nice thing is I'm embarrassing myself in front of a couple hundred people, not the whole goddamn hockey world. I think this guy, he's a great snag. If we were doing snag of the week anymore, he would have been it for me today, because I don't think he's taken in most dynasty leagues, and if he is, the guy doesn't know he has. Go buy him, flip him again in January, but I think that he's going to be a standout for that team, and if they win a game, it will be because he has a monster game. So, and then the last guy I think we want to talk about, who we're excited about. We don't talk a ton about undrafted players because there's just so many variables, but Konsta Helenius has been exciting to say the least this year, and we finally get to see him playing for Finland this year.
It'll be nice to be able to actually watch some of his games. Catching. There's so much hockey to watch, so catching like the Finnish league it's not the most entertaining league to watch, and so
no, it's definitely not.
But by all accounts, like he's stuck up there, and he keeps moving up the draft board, and so he's looking to be a top 10 pick.
We're going to see a Dvorsky tournament from him, I think.
Yeah,
he'll be very, very good. Okay, so what do you want? First overall or the next two firsts? We're going to draft. First overall pick determines.
I got a coin.
You got a coin? Okay. Yeah. So here's what it's going to be. the first overall pick gets to pick which position and the player, and then the guy who loses the coin toss gets first pick on the next 2 positions.
Okay, but we can't pick the same guy for.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. You want heads or tails?
Heads.
All right. Here we go. Oh shit! Dropped it. Oh, it's heads.
It's heads.
Yeah.
All right. I am going to take. Oh, this is a good. Oh, man. I didn't think I was going to win it. I'm so excited right now. This makes up for me losing Bedard in my 2 lottos last year. I'm going to take, as the best forward of the tournament, Cutter Gauthier.
Oh. Yeah, why are you going to take Cutter?
Why am I taking Cutter?
Yeah.
Because he's going to be the best forward of the tournament.
Best player on the best team.
I just think he's gonna score 10 goals. he's gonna annihilate this tournament. Like he doesn't play with much comparatively in Boston right now. Now you're gonna put him with 2 best players against worse competition than he's played against for the most part. He's gonna shoot 40%. This is going to be the Cutter Gauthier coming out party, in my opinion.
Nice.
So, who are you taking as your forward?
Oh, geez. I didn't know I had to have a backup on this one.
You didn't think I was going to take Cutter, or you would have taken him first overall too?
I didn't know we were doing a draft. That's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I would agree with you for Cutter. I'm going to stick to what I said earlier. Lekkermäki. Yeah. Okay. I think he might have a crazy good tournament, and there's a lot going on in Sweden. There's a lot of really good player. Yeah,
that's knowing how I was going to throw this draft at you. Lekkermäki was who I was taking if you got first overall. Look at that!
Look at us, eh?
Yeah. Look at us.
And we didn't compare notes before. You didn't know that he was my dark horse.
All right, exactly. Who do you like is the best D, Debert?
Best D? I had, this whole time leading up, I was going to take Lane Hudson. I think he's the obvious guess here, but I think it's going to be Axel Sandin Pellikka.
Ooh, nice one.
Yeah, I think he's like I said earlier, what he's doing in a men's league in Sweden is remarkable. Points he's scoring 0.5 point per game over there, but just the movement, the fluidity to his game, the offense, at this level is going to be a major step down for him. So with the talent he's going to be surrounded with, and if Sweden's clicking and that power play is going,
stalling. So on my Yahoo that I get Gauthier and Hudson. You can keep going, but
no, I'm telling you,
Cutter Gauthier.
I'm telling you, yeah, you go for it. You take Lane.
No, I am okay.
Yeah.
I agree with your pick. So far, it's funny, again, knowing how I was planning on throwing this draft at you. He would have been who I took if you took Hudson first. So,
okay.
All right, and your best goalie, I know you're going to take Fowler. Yeah?
Yes, I would take Fowler. Shit. He's the best goalie on the best team in the tournament. So, I think it's a slam dunk. The only thing against him would be if he has a bad game in the round robin and Augustine plays better, then they will roll with him come the elimination round. And but yeah, so I'll take.
If I was being smart about this, I would take Hugo Havlid right here. And for the record, I think he's going to win goalie of the tournament.
Okay.
But to make things interesting, and because I'm an asshole, who am I going to take?
Are you going to take Augustine?
I'm going to take...
You're going to go full sweep on awards for USA here.
I'm going to go full sweep, but more importantly, I just think it'll be really fun to go back and forth on the goalies. And in fairness, if I had to put money on it, I would probably take Augustine just because the older guy usually gets the ice. So I'll take him. But mostly, this is me flipping you off.
Same draft year, though. Not really that much older. But, and...
Augustine was the year before.
No, he was drafted this year.
Was he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got my wires crossed.
Yeah, I know who you're thinking of.
I don't know who I'm thinking of.
But yeah, he was starter in under 18 in the summer.
Of course he was. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I take back what I said about him being a year older. He's a few months older. I thought it was a whole draft. Okay, my little predictions. I'll go first.
We both got the same one here.
USA, Sweden, Canada.
Yeah. The only thing would be Canada might not win bronze. So that's the only thing. Yeah, I think you might see something come up from a shocker from the Czechs, Slovaks, or Finland.
Yeah, Canada historically doesn't get up for the bronze games all the time.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think there's actually a darn decent, I haven't looked at the pools, who's on each side. There's a chance Canada doesn't even make the medal round. It depends who they get. Earlier on, we've.
Their pool isn't very hard. They played Germany on New Year's Eve.
I know they have an easy pool. Who's
That's
the
New
team?
Year's Eve game?
Is it Finland?
Germany.
Finland's the big team on our side.
Oh, something like that. Yeah. They got a weak pool. And actually, it's funny when I was sitting here not knowing who the top forward and not knowing we were going to draft, and I just had my list. I almost said Macklin Celebrini. Almost said that. And so I'm hoping we see another great tournament for draft eligible here because that's fun.
Yeah, do you want to predict what his point total will be?
Oh, I'm going to say he goes 8 points. 8 points. 7 games.
8 points, 7 games. I am going to say 10 points.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's doing it in college,
There's no reason to bet against him, really. And he is probably their best player. So,
well, I mean that. Yes, he's probably their best offensive player. The question I would have is, I think that in order to win a game against a Sweden or a US, I don't think Celebrini is the guy you're putting out against the top lines. I think you're going to see it be a Danielson, or a Cowan. So I think that we might see Cowan and Danielson both play bigger minutes than Celebrini, but Celebrini will get the power play time.
Definitely get the power play time. Yeah.
In that regard, a lot of his points are going to come from how well the power play does. But I mean, the kid's just been so lights out in Boston this year that it's hard to bet against him. I'll say this: if we do win the gold medal, it's going to be because he blows both of our point totals out of the water.
Yeah. Well, and the thing for him, where I was kind of thinking about him today in the tournaments, I don't think there's a level or a tournament that he hasn't dominated in.
No,
so
it's unreal in the summer, man.
Yeah, so it's how you're betting against them just because it's almost like a trepidation of hey, don't get caught up in this Bedard lore that happened last year. That's a once in a generation type of World Junior type of performance. But I don't know. This kid as a 17-year-old in NCAA, a true 17-year-old, he will spend the whole season as a 17-year-old, is the best player in college hockey. Come on.
He's been something.
Yeah.
And I guess this is what he has going for him is the lack of elite forward talent, center talent on this team. He's not going against, if he was on Team USA, there's no way he's on power play 1. There's no way. Is he on power play 2? I mean, you only bring him on the team to play on the power play, I guess. But you're going to give Celebrini the power play minutes over Danielson and over Cowan.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, okay.
We did it. Hour and 50.
Don't get
There we go.
used to this.
Yeah, that was just a big one. That was a big
Hacks
one.
Fans, 2 hours is too long, especially on the night there was a Christmas party. But we hope you enjoyed it. We certainly did. We said going into this one we had too many notes for one of our shows. Our shows usually have half a page of notes, and we were pushing 3 and some. So we knew we'd talk a lot today. There was a lot to talk about going forward. Saturday morning, tune in. We hope you enjoyed it. Dynasty Hockey will be on with the Hacks on Wednesday, and we will be talking next week. We will be on the week eve of the World Juniors, and we'll have a couple games to talk about. Well, I'll have for sure 1 or 2. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Very exciting time of year. Very exciting time for us Dynasty guys. Thanks for tuning in today, and thanks again to the Hacks for having us. Ev, I appreciate that you wore that jersey for me, buddy.
Hey, I'm wearing this every show, World Juniors. So, yeah, I think I still have a AGD stain on it from last year's Dylan Gauthier OT winner in the gold medal game.
I'm gonna have to dig up my McDavid year Team Canada World Junior jersey or my Gretzky. I'll find something.
There you go.
I'll find something.
Yeah, you gotta support the team.
I mean, I support the guy. I support the team. It's been a pleasure, buddy. Always fun chatting with you.
Likewise.
And we'll talk to you soon.
That was great.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Yeah, we'll see you guys later.